Today we're diving into the fast attack box for the Legiones Astartes. We'll be painting up these speedsters as the Emperor's children, masters of strategy and flawless execution in a constant pursuit of perfection. Let's see if we can paint this box up as perfectly as the Emperor's children demand. The fast attack box is a mixed unit box, similar to the heavy support and the infantry boxes for Legions Imperialis. I really enjoy the variety that comes from these boxes, so this promises to be a lot of fun to build and paint. Inside we have 4 Javelins, 4 Proteus land speeders, 12 Outriders on 4 bases, and 12 Scimitar Jetbikes across 6 bases. Just a reminder, if you're liking the content, don't forget to hit the like button. Now, there are 2 identical sprues here, as with most Legions Imperialis kits. Interestingly though, we've got 2 different sizes of bases included. I suppose we'll need to figure out which groups of miniatures go on which types of base. Now, looking more closely at the sprue, the bikes, both the Scimitars and the Outriders, are mostly one piece with a rider and also a front section for the Scimitars. The opaque stands for all of these units are a little bit odd, so painting them up is going to be a little bit interesting. Also, these are the first Legiones Astartes units with actually some detailed trim at this scale. That'll look great in gold, but it's going to require a little bit of precision with the brush. Okay, let's go and get these all assembled. These went together pretty quickly and pretty easily. I have to say though, I think my favourite are the Javelins. They look great at this scale, but the side and the underneath weapons were a little bit fiddly to get on. The Scimitar bikes and the Outriders are pretty cool, though I couldn't find any instructions specifying which size base to use, so I guessed, and so I used the larger bases for where there were multiple units, and I think it was the right call. The land speeders were fairly simple to construct, and they do pack some pretty impressive weaponry. Those plasma cannons at the front are pretty cool. Now it's time to start getting some color on these minis, so we're going to go and prime and base the minis using an airbrush. Now, by the way, let me know in the comments which unit from the fast attack box is your favorite. We're going to start with using Vallejo's Mecha Air Grey Primer through the airbrush. This primer is great, it's really robust and it ensures that the paint sticks well. Next, we're going to base coat all of the minis using Broodmother Purple from the Warpaints Air range. After this, we do a top-down volumetric highlight with a 1-to-1 mix of Alien Purple and Coven Purple, which are both from the same color triad. Now, initially, I was trying out using Alien Purple, but I found the color was just that little bit too close to the base coat, and you couldn't really see the highlight. Now, when actually painting these minis using a brush, I like to go and batch paint them all, doing one color across all of the different types of minis at once. I find that helps to speed up the process. Now, that said, to keep things nice and easy to follow, we're going to focus on one mini at a time. So let's start by painting up a stand of scimitars. First, we're going to start by painting gunmetal grey over all the metal details like the engine and also the areas underneath. We're going to follow up with some matte black for the back section, the front gun, and the studded shoulder pad. Next, it's time to paint some gold trim using greedy gold. Now, the trim here is pretty small, so we're going to try and be really careful to get it just in the right spots. So don't overload your brush and try and keep a steady hand. Now it's time to do some shading. First, we're going to use dark tone to shade all of the gunmetal areas. After this, we're going to use purple tone as a pin wash on the wings, mixing in a little bit of water and then just dabbing it on the edges to let the capillary action draw the shade along the lines between the panels. And lastly, we're going to edge highlight the purple areas with Cultist Purple to help the minis pop. I also like to highlight along the edges of the golden trim. This just helps to fix up any areas where the golden trim got a little bit too thick, and I think it actually just makes the panels look really effective. We're going to follow up with painting the base, and now we're going to be painting the base identically for all of the miniatures, so we're only going to go through this process once. We start with leather brown for the base coat on the base. We're then going to use strong tone to do a pin wash on the base and follow up with a very, very thin edge highlight using Paratrooper Tan. Our other miniatures are all going to follow a really similar scheme, so let's power through them. We're going to do gunmetal grey on all the metal details for the Javelin, including the engine, the jets and the weapons. We'll use matte black for the front recess sections and also on the shoulder pads. Following this up with greedy gold for all of the golden trim. We then use dark tone over all of the gunmetal areas, as well as using purple tone to do a pin wash along some of the panel lines. After this, we edge highlight the purple areas using Cultist Purple again. And then we're all finished. On to the next mini. For the Outrider bikes, they're painted in basically the same fashion as the last two. The trick here is that there's a group of three, so it's a little tricky to get the brush in, but we'll do the best we can. We're going to start with gunmetal grey over the metal details like the exhaust, the centers of the wheels, as well as the weapons on the lead bike. We'll use matte black to paint up the recess sections at the back of the bikes to paint up the tyres and the studded shoulder pads. We'll also just pick out a really small detail on the front using greedy gold just to tie these minis all together. We'll use dark tone over all the gunmetal areas, as well as a little bit of purple tone as once again as a pin wash. Now, one of the things differentiating this Mini from the others is that the bike at the front has a plasma weapon. So for this, we're going to start by painting the coils using matte white. We then cover this with a few coats of Radiation Glow, which is an effect paint in the Warpaints Fanatic line. Okay, let's race through this last one. The Proteus Land Speeder. We're going to go and use some gunmetal grey over the metal areas like the jet and the weapons. We use matte black on a little bit of the sides, the weapon casings, and also once again on the shoulder pads. We'll then pick up just a tiny couple of little golden details just to tie this in with the other minis that we've got. And we're going to use dark tone over all the gunmetal areas, as well as using purple tone as a pin wash on the panels. We'll then follow this up with an edge highlight using Cultist Purple. And we're not really trying to pick out every edge here. We're just trying to pick out the most important ones that are going to give us the most definition when you're looking at the Mini on the table. Now, like the bikes, we also have a plasma weapon that we need to paint up on these land speeders, and it's a bit bigger and a bit chunkier. So we're going to paint the coils using matte white. Once again, we're going to cover it with a few coats of Radiation Glow. Feel free to spill the Radiation Glow out a little bit over the edges to sort of make it look like it really is glowing. And then after this, we're going to dot along the top of the coils using Space Dust. And done. I am really happy with how these turned out. The gold trim and the purple really looks fantastic on minis at this scale. The minis themselves were detailed and for the most part, relatively simple to assemble and to paint. Though I do have to say the weapons were a little bit fiddly to work with at times. I think if I had my time again, I'd probably take all of the models where there's multiple per base and attach them to paddle pop sticks and paint them there first. Just getting the brush in between the different minis proved to be a little challenging. I can't wait to get these miniatures into battle. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing for more painting tips and tutorials. I'll see you next time on the Wargamers Workshop.